This afternoon, we celebrate the lifelong achievements of a truly courageous woman, Magda Brown. A number of times in recent years, she has shared her story with Aurora University students, faculty, and staff. And each time, we have listened in awe and have renewed our own commitment to teaching today's students about the horror of the Holocaust. I invite Dr. Jonathan Dean and Ellen Goldberg to escort Magda Brown to the podium for conferral of the degree, Doctor of Humane Letters.
Crimi Auditorium was packed in 2010 when she first came to Aurora University to speak about her experiences in the Holocaust. AU students, faculty and staff, as well as local high school students and community members listened with rapt attention. She related the stories of her past, touched by her courage and her great dignity. When she returned in 2011 to tell the next chapter of her story, coming to the United States as a refugee, the AU community again was moved and inspired. Now, she's a frequent visitor to our history and religion classes, where she brings the past to life and helps us all to discover what really matters. Her name is Magda Brown. She is a shining link to history for today's students and the whole AU community. Born in Hungary in 1927, Magda enjoyed a normal childhood in a loving home. But all of that changed in March of 1944 when German troops marched into Budapest. Deportations of Hungarian Jews to Auschwitz-Birkenau began shortly after, and half of the Jews in Hungary were deported. When the Hungarian regime was overthrown, the Nazis and Hungarian police created a ghetto in Magda's hometown of Miskolc, where she found her bedroom suddenly filled with several other families. That experience would pale in comparison to the events of Magda's 17th birthday in June of 1944, when she and her family were crowded onto a rail car. The destination, Auschwitz-Birkenau. When the train arrived, Magda and her family were immediately separated. It was the last time she saw them, as they were sent directly to the gas chambers. Magda was spared from the gas chambers at Auschwitz and transported a few months later to Allendorf, Germany, a sub-camp of the Buchenwald concentration camp. She worked in a large ammunitions factory for 8 to 12 hours a day. In March of 1945, she dodged death once again. While on a death march to Buchenwald, she and several other prisoners escaped and hid in a nearby barn. American soldiers arrived just 1.5 days later, liberating Magda and her fellow captives. After returning to Hungary to search for her extended family, Magda was sponsored by relatives here in America and various Jewish organizations to earn a visa to the United States. She arrived in America on September 17, 1946, but was reunited with her brother only in 1962. Despite her experience, Magda is not angry or bitter. She has drawn upon her past to learn to heal, to give to others, and even miraculously to forgive for what was done to her and her family. She says her greatest gift was that of American citizenship. A group of survivors established the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center in Skokie, and Magda is a staunch supporter and participant in their Speakers Bureau. She is open, truthful, and courageous as she connects AU students to the reality of the Holocaust in unforgettable ways. No longer is this chapter of history merely something we read about in textbooks. Our admiration only grows as Magda tackles the most difficult questions. She asks and helps us to ponder the toughest questions. Where was God in Auschwitz? having studied or lived the Holocaust, where do we find hope? The students and all of us who know her adore her. Thanks to Magda Brown, our students will remember and teach their children and their grandchildren to remember. She has changed our lives, helping us to discover what is important. One student said to me, after seeing how forgiving Magda is, my hope is that I can start seeing things more broadly and be more loving and accepting of others and of their differences. In recognition of her dignified, profound courage and her tireless efforts to share the Holocaust story with others, the Board of Trustees of Aurora University, with the enthusiastic support of faculty and administration, is proud to bestow upon Magda Brown the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, on this, the 5th day of May, 2013.
By the authority vested in me as President of Aurora University, I do hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. And I ascribe to you all of the rights, responsibilities, and privileges thereto appertaining. Congratulations.
Members of the Board of Directors, faculty, and students. You cannot imagine how moved I am at this moment, for many, many reasons. I am accepting this honor on behalf of all the survivors who were destined to live. And there are not too many of us. As you know the Holocaust history, you know how many millions have perished for no reason. So we go, all of us survivors, and give of ourselves because we were given this extra time to live. And we try to share our stories for one important reason, that you, the future generation, should learn from our tragedies. We go, we talk, we listen, we answer many, many questions. We at the Illinois Holocaust Bureau have a group of speakers, and we are getting up in age, so some of us who are still able to drive or travel away, we go. Matter of fact, just a few days ago, I was in the neighborhood at Oswego High School. I spoke to 700 young, interested students, and what a joy it is how they ask questions and how they are interested on the subject. I would like to share something with the students. Something that I want you to remember and truly appreciate today. It is an auspicious moment for you. You have gained the recognition of getting your diploma. But let me tell you something, when I was your age, how different it was. I was in middle school, ready to enter higher education. Unfortunately, there was a horrendous anti-Jewish law called the numerus clausus, which restricted Jewish children to 1% of the entry to higher education. So when my time came, eagerly I was looking forward to it. My grades were good, and in those days, parents have to pay for tuition. My parents would be able to pay for my tuition, so that wasn't an issue. Unfortunately, I didn't make that quota. Now you have to recognize that you're a teenager, you really are not so knowledgeable about history and world politics. You are thinking of yourself. And why couldn't I get into this? So the reason I mention this to you, think about it. What happened to you when you were ready to look for a university? You had all the choice in the world. You had good grades, naturally. But you could go to this university or that. Your freedom of choice. The only other issue was perhaps financial arrangement. But even that you could secure through financial aid. So there were all these beautiful free benefits that you were blessed to. And therefore, every time I speak, I promote the word freedom. It is horrible to be a slave. And let's give all of our efforts to protect the freedom in this country that we so beautifully enjoy. Go out into the world, succeed, and do great things. But the number one thing that you should keep in mind, give of yourself. Volunteer. Because I have not reached this plateau without the help of many, many volunteers who helped me. God bless the 6th Armored Division who liberated me, and followed by the many volunteers from a variety of organizations who helped me get further. God bless the mentor I had, my physician, who was my employer for 40 years, who saw in me enough abilities, with a limited education, to work with him for 40 years in his medical office. And successes, many, many events were following. So keep that in mind, give of yourself, and I wish you a wonderful, wonderful career in a free, wonderful society. Thank you very much.